Hey, Catlin here with lesson 15. On your homework, we have the base of a prism. So this is the base of it. They already have it drawn for you. The one thing that they aren't drawing is the 3D version. So you just kind of have to imagine this being built up as a tower vertically from that. So, and then they tell you what the heights are. So that's really all you need. You don't have to have the visual of it. So I'm going to actually throw this over here. So we'll have a little more room to work. And let's start with part A. We're going to find the surface area of this if it was a prism, and then the volume. So part A, I'm going to work out right here. And surface area is always going to be the perimeter of your base times the height of your prism plus the two areas of the bases, one that's on the bottom and one that's on the top. So there's my surface area formula. Let's jump into it with the perimeter. So I'm adding here 8 plus 5 and 5. That's going to give me 18, 20, 22, 24, 27, 30. So we get a perimeter of 30 multiplied by the height, which they tell me is 5 from the information that's given, plus 2 times the area of this. So let's break this down and find its area. I'm just going to do a rectangle on top and then these two identical ones on the bottom. So the one on top is not 8 times 5. Actually, you know what might be easier is just do 8 times 5, get the whole thing, and subtract this little 2 by 2 sucker inside, because I know this is 4 square centimeters. And the whole thing is 8 times 5, which is 40. Right? So the whole rectangle is 40, and take away the 4, I get 36. So that's how I'm going to knock that out. That works out better for me. All right, so let's work this sucker out. We got 30 times 5, which is 150, plus 2 pairs of 36, which would give me 72. And when we add those two things together, we get what? 222. So 222 centimeters squared for the surface area on part A. Let's do the volume next. The volume is the area of the base times the height. We've already calculated the area of the base. That was my 36 number there when we did the 40 minus the 4. And that turned out to be 36. And we multiply it by the height, which is given here as 5. 36 times 5. And this is going to be our volume. So I'm going to use my old calculator for that. 36 times 5 is 180. 180 centimeters cubed is how many cubes we could squeeze inside of this shape with a height of 5. All right, so we did part A, surface area and volume when the height was 5. So let's do both of them again for part B, but we're going to replace, and we only got to replace because the base isn't changing. We just got to replace what the height was. So for the surface area, instead of a 5, we're going to have 30 times 10 plus 2 times 36. All right, so that's going to give us 300 plus 2 times 36, which is still 72. So we get 372 for the surface area. And then for the volume, that's the surface area. For the volume, instead of doing 36 times 5, we're just going to do 36 times 10, which will essentially double it to 360 centimeters cubed. So for part A, we get 222 and 180. And for part B, this is surface area, sorry, we get 372 and 360. Now for part C, it wants us to compare the percent increase. So let's look at percent increase from, I guess we'll do surface area here, and then we will do volume over here. Volume, percent, and value. Now on the volume, it went at 100% the first time was 180, and then we're trying to find the percent it went up when it went to 360. That's pretty easy. It just doubled. So it went up from 100 to 200. And so on that, the volume showed a 100% increase because it went from 100 to 200. That's a double or 100% increase. Now, for the surface area, it was a little bit different. It went from 100% the first time being 222 to the next time, the percentage that it changed to, we don't know yet, but it went to 372. So let's find the constant between these. 222 divided by 100 is just going to be 2.22. So I know that this multiplied by 2.22 will give me the new value. So I'm going to take 372 and I'm going to divide it by 2.22, and that should tell me the percent. So this percent went to about 168, and I'm rounding here. Okay, so the percent increase there for the surface area, it only increased by 68%. And there we go. You would think that it would be another double because we just doubled the height. Surface area doesn't work that way, but volume does apparently. If you increase the height, you're just you're increasing it by a proportionally related double. But we're done with that. All right, number 2. Select the situations where knowing the volume of an object would be more useful than surface area. So we're looking for ones that fill things up with cubes or fill things up with material instead of wrapping them up or covering them. So A, determining the amount of paint needed to paint a barn. Paint is covering, not volume. Determining the monetary value of a piece of gold jewelry. Gold is usually valued by its size and how much gold it's made up of. So that's going to be a volume situation. It's not gold plated, it's gold nugget. Filling an aquarium with buckets of water. That would be filling it with amount of water. That's obviously volume. Deciding how much wrapping paper a gift will need. That's covering something with wrapping paper. That's clearly surface area. Packing a box with watermelons for shipping. Packing is meaning you're inserting things inside of it. It's a volume situation. Charging a company for ad space on your race car. Your race car is full of area, and it's being painted or covered by ad space, and that is a surface area situation. You're not putting things into the car, you're putting stickers on its cover. G, measuring the amount of gasoline left in the tank of a tractor. Okay, gasoline in a tank is filling that tank up with something that is volume. Number 3, angle H is half as large as angle J. Well, based on that sentence, I could say that 2H equals J. Angle J is 1/4 as large as angle K. All right, so that tells me that 4 J's equal K. And then it says K is 240 degrees. So K equals 240 degrees. What is the measure of angle H? Well, let's find out what J is first, and then we can find out what K or H is. So all we got to do is plug in 240 for K in our first situation here. So we know that it takes 4 J's to make K, so 4 J's will equal 240 since it tells me what K is. And so 24 divided by 4 is 6, so J is equal to 60. And now that we know what J is, we can plug it in for J here. So 2 H's equals 60, which means that if 2 H's is 60, one of them would be 30 by simple division. So H is 30 degrees here. So I took each sentence, wrote an equation that was true from it, and then those equations kind of helped me along the way figure out what the missing piece was. So 30 is the value of H, and we are finished with your homework.